Hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to look at the zip function. That's an inbuilt function that Python provides for us. So the zip function allows you to create a list of tuples or an iterable of tuples, and each of these tuples can come from two or more sequences. So let's say we had a list that has a length of, let's say, 23 items, and then we had another list that also had a length of 23 items. By using the zip function, what we can do is to create another list or iterable containing tuples that match each of the items in the first iterable to another item that exists in the same position in another iterable. Now let us look at a very simple example. So what I'm going to do is to first of all remove this, and I'm going to create two lists. So the first list I'm going to create is going to be one for names, and here we shall provide subnames. So let's start by providing Joel, and then we can go ahead and provide another name. So let's say here we're going to have a name called Brian, and in this case we shall have another name of, let's say, Simon, and then we can also provide another name of, let's say, Godwin. So when we have these names, then we can also create another iterable, and this iterable is going to be one of ages. So let's say we're going to map each of the people in our first list to ages. So we're going to say ages, and ages is also going to be a list, and this list is going to have ages. So we're going to start by providing age 12, age 28, and then let's say this is going to be 28, and then this can be 34, and then let's say we're going to have 56. So once we have done that, the next thing we can do is to use our zip function to create this iterator. So I'm going to create a variable called iterator. So this variable called iterator is going to simply be a call to our zip function, and it will take in both our names list as well as our ages list. So basically what we have to do is to provide the iterables that we need to map onto each other to create a list of tuples. So once we've been able to do this, we can now go ahead and print our iterator. So if we printed our iterator, we can just go ahead and print iterator, and once we've been able to do this, this is just simply going to show us that this is going to return a zip object at that memory location. So let's go ahead and try to make use of our iterator. So the first thing we're going to do is to basically create a list of tuples that will be generated from each of our iterables. So for us to be able to do that, I'm going to come right here, and I'll begin by saying that we're going to have our list of, let's say, persons, and this is going to be a list, but this list is going to be generated from our iterator. I'm going to provide that, and once we've done that, we can go ahead and print our list. So when we go ahead and run, we shall see that this is going to return a list of iterator, or a list of actually tuples that contain members. So Joel is going to have an age of 12, just like you see right here, and then you shall have Brian having the age of 28, just like you see right here. Simon will have an age of 34, just like you see here, and also Godwin will have an age of 56, just like you see right here. So basically that's the first thing we can be able to do with the iterator we have created. Another thing we can be able to do is to go ahead and basically create a dictionary out of these. So each of these names is going to be a key, and the values will be each of the ages that we have in here. So if we change this, we can now create a dictionary, and let me also comment this out. So actually let me remove them. So if we go ahead and maybe say people, and this is going to be our dictionary of people. So in here I can say dict, and then we provide our iterator. And once we've been able to do that, if we print people and we run, we're now going to see that a dictionary is going to be created, and each of the items in our first list or first iterable is going to be mapped onto each of the items within our second list, And just like that, we have Joel having the age of 12, Brian having the age of 28, Simon having the age of 34, and Godwin having an age of 56. Another example that we can look at is where we have a string, which is also a sequence and an iterable. So let's say we had our name, and our name is going to be, let's say, Jonathan. So since Jonathan has 8 characters, we can now also create a list of indexes of each of the letters in my name. So I can say indexes, and let me just call it indexes, and this is going to be a list of, let's say, indices starting from 0 up to 7. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So what you have is each of the indices for each of the letters that we have in my name, just like you see right here. So what we can do is to create an iterator that basically matches each of the letters to an index. So I'm going to create my variable called my iterator, and this is going to be basically an iterator that uses the zip function to basically combine and create tuples of a name as well as its index. So I'll just call our indexes variable. And once you've been able to do this, now I'm going to go ahead, and what I'll do is to create a dictionary. So in this case, I'm just simply going to create a dictionary of names. So I'll call this our name dictionary, and I'll use that dict function to basically create a dictionary out of the iterator we have generated. So if we go ahead and print this, so let's print our name dictionary, and right now we are going to see that we're going to have each of the letters within our name mapped onto each of the indices within our list right here. So let's see if that is actually happening. J is mapped onto index 0, which you can see right here. O is mapped onto index 1, which you can see right here. N is mapped onto index 7. Now you may ask yourself why this is happening. This is happening because we basically have two Jonathans, two N's existing within our name, and the way dictionaries work is each key should be an independent key, or each key should be a unique key. So for us to change this, let us say if our name was actually, let's say something like, let's say Jonathan, then that is where that would actually make sense. So we'd have M mapping onto index 2, A mapping onto index 6. The same thing is happening right here. So let's change our A to make it 4, and when we save and run again, we shall now see that J is mapping onto 0, O is mapping onto 1, M is mapping onto 2, 4 is mapping onto 3, T is mapping onto 4, H is mapping onto 5, A is mapping onto 6, and N is mapping onto 7. So this is basically one thing about strings. You may have multiple occurrences of a certain item that may not be favoring you when creating a dictionary, but that's how you may be able to generate one. All you have to do is to update the string so that you have unique letters or unique items within that specific string.